human beings derive satisfaction from so many different things that happen in their day-to-day life. And home ownership or having a home of their own is just one of those areas. The comfort and the peace in knowing that I have a space, I have my place that I can go to at the end of the day where I can take care of me, I can take care of my family is such a relief. One less thing I have to worry about in many instances, right? My children are going to be okay. I'm okay. I have a place to lay my head. And so having that comfort, that sense of comfort, is more than we can sometimes put into words.
So I thought it's a good opportunity. So you can have your own house and kids have their own space. And I don't know, in my case, I feel strong. I feel like, yeah, I can do it. I do it. And you feel good yourself. And sometimes being a single mom is a little bit stressed because if something broken, the house is like, okay, I have to spend a lot of money. Or sometimes people take advantage when you are a single parent or single mom because, okay, yeah, she don't know anything about it. We want to be extra charge. So some stuff I can fix it. So, and yeah, my kids are very happy, and each kid have a own room. When I moved in here, I have 4 bedrooms, but now I built another bedroom in the basement, which is the biggest bedroom, and it's my bedroom. And I have a full bathroom for myself, walk-in closet, like probably the 100%, 95% of the women we want walk-in closet. The kids, they feel happy. And they like my kids, they have a basketball hook in the driveway, and before we don't have that. And before, the kids were sharing rooms, the 2 little ones, the 2 oldest. Now, like I say, they have their own room, own decorations, own privacy. And well, the bad thing for them is they have to clean the room. I don't clean the room. I just supervise the room, like, okay, let me see. So it's time to clean. Oh, I'm clean, okay, I will check it out. If it's not clean, time out. That's the bad thing, because when they share rooms, okay, both clean. But this time, each one had to clean, so.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2023 Women Build Heart, Head, and Home Luncheon. So glad you're all here. I'm Jodi Kness. I am a proud board member with Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity. I am also a leader at Wells Fargo in their commercial banking division. So thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to gather and discuss all the ways in which home affects the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health of ourselves and of our families. Before we move to our panel, though, we're going to have a great panel discussion here. I want to introduce some folks who are out here today to make you aware. And first is recognize our 2023 Women's Build co-chairs, Kate Clark and Caitlin Kunert. Thank you for your leadership. I also want to recognize a few individuals in the room today who have served as Women Build co-chairs and team captains in the past. They include Annie Brandt, Carrie Clogg, Christine Hensley, Colleen Kirkwood, Dottie Thurston, Kelly Caldbeck, Lauren Burgesson, Mary Lou Nugent, Michelle Brown, and Sarah Hopkins. Thank you so much. I also want to recognize a few of my fellow board members, so thank you for being here and supporting the cause and mission as you always do. Those are Tina Smith-Fritz, Kate Clark, Christy Burma, Clark Matthews, Alyssa Young, Jenna Kimberly, and Heather Van Nest. Thank you so much. And now I have an easy thing to do. I get to introduce the person who will be giving the sponsor comments today. Sponsor today is Wells Fargo. And so I figured instead of hearing from me, you get somebody else, which is a great thing for all of you. And this person is somebody I've worked with for a long time at Wells Fargo, and I made a really good decision once a long time ago. It happens occasionally. And hired this person many years ago. So I got to work alongside her, see her amazing talents and abilities, and she's a very talented leader. But in addition to that, what I aspire to be like her and appreciate about her so much, even more than her great talents and her leadership, is her passion for the community and the work she does in the community again and again. And she's a great person for me to emulate, and for all of our team. She brought our team up many levels in terms of our community support and activity. So I want to share with you the good news too is she had a huge passion for Habitat and continues to have passion for Habitat. So with that, I want to introduce Abby Spann.
Thank you, Jodi. You are far too kind. Just thank you. So my name's Abby Spann. I have been with Wells Fargo for about 14 years now, and I'm really thrilled to be here today talking with all of you. And look at this venue. Isn't this beautiful? Hasn't Habitat done a great job today? Give them a round of applause on the size. So in my 14 years with the company, I've had the pleasure of working with Habitat in many different capacities as a business partner, as an advocate for the organization, sometimes as a friendly face. Wells Fargo is a huge corporation. Who do you call when you have a question, right? Sometimes it's me. But most importantly, as a volunteer. Habitat for Humanity and Wells Fargo have really had a steadfast, decades-long relationship. Wells Fargo has been supporting Habitat for 30 years now. That's pretty cool, right? In fact, the relationship started right here in Des Moines when employees of Norwest Mortgage, which became Wells Fargo Home Mortgage several years later, volunteered for our company's first ever Habitat build. That relationship has only flourished over the years. Recently, just in May of this year, the Wells Fargo Foundation announced a $7.5 million grant to Habitat for Humanity International to build 360 homes nationwide. Pretty incredible work. Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity received a portion of that grant. In fact, the largest portion of that grant given to any affiliate in the amount of $240,000. So $240,000 right here in our community in Des Moines. Since the Wells Fargo Foundation's Builds Grant was started in 2018, Greater Des Moines Habitat has received $1.4 million through that program, more than any single Habitat affiliate in the country. Again, all in all, since 2010, Wells Fargo has given Habitat for Humanity International $129 million in support of its efforts. It's really easy for me. Yeah. It's very easy for me as a Wells Fargo employee to say I'm proud to be a Wells Fargo employee because of the support that Wells Fargo gives Habitat, as well as other organizations across the country. We support Greater Des Moines Habitat not just because of our history together, but because it's well run. You guys can all attest to that. It's a super well-run organization, and it does really incredible, necessary work in our community. And because who doesn't like the idea of home? Who doesn't relate to the idea of home? A home should be a place that you can call your own, a place to rest your body, your mind, your spirit, a place to gather with family, friends, neighbors, whether you've been away for a single day, just going to the office for the day, or whether you've been gone for several years and are coming home to reunite with people. It should also be a place that's safe and affordable. I believe all of you are here today because, just like Wells Fargo and Habitat for Humanity, you believe in the power of home. So if you haven't already, I really encourage each of you to attend a key ceremony. You can learn what home means to each of the homeowners who are receiving a property through Habitat for Humanity. So thank you to the Greater Des Moines Habitat staff who are here with us today at each of your tables for hosting this, again, lovely event. And thank you everyone for supporting this vital organization. So without further ado, we have a really incredible panel for you today. Moderating this panel discussion is Brenda Fonseca. Brenda is the Global Technical Services Lead for Kemin Human Nutrition and Health. She has spent 20 years conducting neuroscience research as well as serving as a college faculty member before joining Kemin in 2014. Brenda resides in West Des Moines with her 2 children, Bee and Mario, and their 2 fluffy puppies, Max and Peanut. So thank you, Brenda, for being here to enhance our conversation. So Brenda, as you come up to the front, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us what home means to you. Thank you, everyone.
I'm so honored to be here today to help support the Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity Women's Build of 2023. We're lucky to have some amazing panelists here. So today we're going to take a little bit of time, set aside some time to talk to a reverend, a mental health advocate, a community advocate, and a physician, and think about what does home actually mean? How does home impact us? Not only as a place to live, but our wellness, our community, and really just understand what home can mean to us and to those around us. As was mentioned, housing affordability is obviously of utmost importance. One thing you might not know is actually in Polk County, 1 out of every 8 families pays over half of their monthly income to housing expenses. So if we really stop and think about that, that means there's a lot of other expenses that aren't going to be paid for: transportation, healthcare, education, even purchasing healthy food. So understanding and being able to help with housing affordability and understanding where the Habitat for Humanity can come in and really impact the community is of key importance. So that's why we're going to talk today and understand some of that impact. To start with, though, let's do a little thought experiment. So think back, if you will, to your childhood. Maybe think about a birthday that you remember, or maybe think about a favorite holiday. Think about a family gathering. So get something in mind. Maybe even think about it when in your childhood, a time that you were sick. When we think about all these memories, now think about, where were you during that memory? Where were you when you had those events, those memories, those things that happened that have shaped who we are? And I'm guessing that at least one of those memories took place in your childhood home. When we have a home, sometimes it's easy to forget the critical role that the home plays for our wellness, as well as our community, and as well as just a place for us to lay our head at night. So let's get started. We have 20 minutes and we have so much great information to share. The panelists are really great experts in their field. I'm going to try and not drop this here. And so I'm going to ask each of the panelists what home means to them. First, I'll introduce the panelists, and then I'll go ahead and have them speak about what home means. So let's start with Jodi Long. I'm going to sit down. So Jodi serves as the Health Equity Director for the nonprofit organization Healthy Birthday Incorporated. This is an Iowa nonprofit that created the nationwide evidence-based stillbirth prevention program. The name of the program is called Count the Kicks, so I'm guessing a lot of you have heard of this program. Jodi has worked for the organization since October of 2022. Jodi advocates for the stillbirth prevention. She addresses racial disparities that exist in birth outcomes and leads efforts to expand conversations around health equity and stillbirth prevention in Iowa and around the country. She lives in Clive with her husband and 2 children. So Jodi, we can start with you on what home means to you.
Okay. So I'm just going to say this. Doesn't your home smell like you? Like, you can't really describe it, but like after you come home from vacation, you walk into your house and you're like, oh, my house smells like me. And for me, that is the feeling of a warm embrace and a place to feel vulnerable, a place where you can experience your highest of highs, your lowest of lows, and a place that you want to return home to. So that's what home means to me.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That is very insightful. And yes, I think we all have experienced that after coming home. Let's move on to Dr. Sarah Ling. Dr. Ling is a family practice physician at MercyOne Waukee Clinic, where she provides health care for the entire family. She completed a master's in public health with a focus in epidemiology at the Colorado School of Public Health and medical school at Des Moines University. She completed her 3-year family medicine residency at Broadlands Medical Center before entering clinical practice. Her family's business, Beiser Lumber Company, is a nearly 70-year-old 3-generation organization and is a proud sponsor and supporter of Habitat for Humanity. So, Sarah, let's move to you. And what are your thoughts on home?
Thanks for having me today. When I think of home, I immediately think of the people that fill it. And so that's my husband and my 2 young kids and our crazy silver lab puppy named Nibs. I don't know what we were thinking with that one. And I think of the space that it creates for us to rest and be rejuvenated. And be vulnerable as well. And last, I think of the structure it provides to keep us safe. It's simple, but the roof, the walls, especially in the crazy Iowa elements. So that's what I think of.
Nice. Thank you. All right. And now I'll introduce our third panelist, this Nina Richtman. Nina is the Director of Advocacy for the Treatment Advocacy Center. She's a scientist by training. Nina worked in agriculture for 15 years before making quite the transition to the nonprofit mental health world. Her kids are adopted from the foster care system, and they've been together for 12 years. To get the services and support they have needed has involved quite a few obstacles and tasks and events to achieve that, including mental health care, trauma resources, juvenile courts, and partnerships with schools and educators. So trying to navigate that complexity of these community resources, or lack thereof, has been the most challenging task she has undertaken and is the reason she works in the nonprofit sector. And she's been busy working to help advocate for better systems for all those impacted by mental health conditions. So from your perspective, we'd love to hear what home means to you.
Yeah, so home to me, quite simply, is the place that's your own. You can put your touch on it. It is where you get to just be. And I love that about it. And I think that's something that everybody should get to have.
Nice. Awesome. And then, so finally, let me introduce our fourth panelist today. This is Reverend Jordan Derhammer Capek. I hope I got that right. Capek. All right. She's of West Des Moines United Methodist Church. Pastor Jordan was called into ministry in the 8th grade. She believes that there is a place for everyone in the church, no matter the age, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or culture. All are welcome, affirmed, and included in the body of Christ. She received her Master's of Divinity in 2019 and has been with the West Des Moines United Methodist Church since 2021. She resides with her wife, Megan, and 4 adorable cats. So let's hear your thoughts and impressions of home for you.
If I could, I would show all my pictures of my cats, but I can't, unfortunately. Home for me is where you could be your most honest self, your goofy, silly self. Home isn't necessarily a building. It's wherever you can be the awkward person that you are. We are all awkward in our own little ways, and have the people around you that love you and support you. And so that home could be church. That home could be your coffee shop that knows your order. It could be your physical home as well.
Great. Thanks so much. So we're getting 4 different perspectives. We got a little insight into some personal impressions of home. And we also want to bring in the professional expertise that each of you bring to the panel today. So we do want to cover 4 broad topics, and we'll dive into those and see where that takes us. So we want to start with the well-being and health and really understand how home impacts our physical well-being. So we'll start with Sarah. And so what are some of the significant impacts of home on health and well-being? And I don't know if we necessarily put those together naturally, but we really want to understand, what does it take, or how does home impact our actual health and physical well-being?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a very important correlation. So in the United States, we spend 90% of our time indoors. And of that time, about 50% of it is spent in our homes, whatever that home environment looks like. So there's a very significant impact on what's happening and what you're exposed to in your home to your health outcomes. In substandard housing, typically there are increased levels of mold, pet dander, although I guess we all have pets, don't we? But typically more pet dander, pests, insects, rodents, and then affiliated diseases that they carry. There's also increased exposure to smoke and toxins such as radon, especially here in Iowa. We're concerned about radon levels, lead, carbon monoxide, all of which lead to increased respiratory infections, asthma exacerbations, COPD exacerbations, increased hospitalizations. And the structural integrity of a house is very important. I think if you were listening on the news a couple weeks ago in Davenport, Iowa, a whole apartment collapsed, killing 3 people. So that structural instability can be very significant. And then lastly, in substandard housing in those communities, usually there is either no or limited access to healthcare. So people can't even go to see a doctor or have healthcare services, and certainly limited accessibility to nutritional foods, grocery stores, gyms, all the things that can improve health.
Very nice. Thank you. Any other additional comments, or have you talked to people, or have you been able to help people understand the impact of home on physical health and seen some of those changes in your own practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think this is a good platform just to be able to discuss it and help all of us understand the implications. So,
Great. And along those same lines, we can move to maternal or neonatal health. So we'll move over to Jodi. As we can see, there's quite a few areas of health that are impacted by home, things that we might not have considered. So, and we also know that there's specific correlations between maternal or neonatal health and home environment as well. So can you speak to that relationship? What do we know about housing and maternal health or birth outcomes, and how disparities in that area also might impact overall health?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to our state in Iowa, Black women are 2 times more likely to experience a stillbirth. So a stillbirth, for those of you who don't know, is the loss of a baby after the 20th week of pregnancy. Now, when you talk about maternal mortality and morbidity, a Black woman in Iowa is 6 times more likely to die after having given birth or during childbirth than their white counterpart in our state. So that is so troubling. And I know that just in the news recently, there was an Olympian, a Black woman, prime health, 32 years old, died due to childbirth complications. So this is a real issue. But when you talk about, well, what does that have to do with a birth outcome and like where somebody lives? So if a Black woman or a woman of color is experiencing the hardships of being a Black woman in this country, which means, having or being treated differently due to her race, maybe having trouble finding a job, maybe having trouble finding food for her family, maybe having trouble finding a place to have her house and have her family live. That all adds up over time, and that's toxic stress. That puts a lot of stress not only on a mother, but also her unborn baby she's carrying in utero. So when all of those things are combined and you have the institutional or the structural racism of some systems in our country, that can lead to poor birth outcomes, because when you don't have a place to rest and feel safe at home and you're pregnant, there's a good chance that you might deliver preterm, and that impacts women of color at a greater level than white women. And so those are some of the issues where, it's really important that we take a look at the big picture when a woman is pregnant, that it's like, do you have a place to live? Do you have a place you feel safe? Because that all impacts her having a better birth outcome for not only herself, but for her baby too.
Thanks, Jodi. That's very interesting, and some staggering statistics as well. Yeah. Did you have one to add? Okay.
6 times
statistic.
Yeah, the 6 times, is very, very interesting. So we've talked about physical health, maternal, neonatal health. Let's move on then and talk about mental health. And we'll have Nina tell us a little bit about some relations between home and mental health and where we see some of the challenges in that area as well.
All right. Well, to start out, a lot of you are probably familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that's the thing that comes to mind for me. And I want to use that as a foundation for talking about this. So for those of you that aren't familiar, it's that pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid are our most fundamental, basic human survival needs. So, food, water, some sort of roof above our heads, clothing. So if somebody is just trying to get those things every day, they can't get to any of the levels on the pyramid above that because they're spending all of their waking hours and time trying to meet those basic needs. Well, the next level up from that is safety. And that's where I think home comes in. That's where it first comes in, is having that sense of safety. It's so important. If you can't feel safe, again, you can't get to the higher levels of the pyramid where you get to things like love and belonging and community and self-esteem and self-actualization. You can't get there if you're fixated on the realities of just keeping yourself safe every day. And so that's what home does for people, is it allows their mind to be at peace, and you don't have to spend all of your energy, all of your mental energy worrying about basic physiological needs and safety needs. So I think that's what I really want to share, and keep in mind that some of those things we tend to take for granted, but for those in our community who have to think about that day in and day out, it really limits their ability to get to some of the other wonderful, lovely parts of the human experience.
Thank you. I think that's a great example and really helps put it in perspective of what we need to have the foundation there for us. Yeah. And let's move on then to our 4th panelist, Jordan. I know you have a personal experience with Habitat for Humanity and also related to faith and community. If you would mind sharing a little bit about your own personal background with Habitat, that would be fantastic.
So back when I was in elementary school, my family went through a lot of hardships. My dad lost a job, had a heart attack, 5 bypass surgery. We moved in with my grandparents. And so we were homeless, but we were living with my grandparents. My parents called themselves hobbits because they lived in the basement of my grandparents' house. But then we heard about Habitat for Humanity, and through Habitat for Humanity, we could build a home. So it was a great experience for me to build my own house, to put on the siding. I remember digging the hole for the deck, and it took forever. And painting the room that I slept in. Turns out you should never let a teenager paint a room and not have somebody check it. But it was a good experience. And I am so thankful. My parents are still living in the Habitat for Humanity house.
And that's an amazing story. Yeah, for sure. And can you speak a little bit about how moving into that home affected your sense of community and even faith, if that was part of it? But just how did that experience change you and your relationship to community?
So I went to Cedar Falls First United Methodist Church, and the church rallied around us, and they helped volunteer. You had to have so many sweat equity hours. And so they volunteered. Every time we were out there building, there was somebody else from the church there that was supporting us. One of my favorite older guys that I grew up loving and knowing like a second grandpa, he helped me learn how to do siding. And so I remember that moment where he taught me how to like do the hammer and then push it up, and it was awesome. But without the community around us, I don't think we would be able to do it. We had a church that loved us and supported us in all that we are. No matter how much money you give during stewardship, it didn't matter. They were there to support us in all the ways.
Thank you. Yeah. We have such a great panel here today in such a short amount of time, which we're already almost to the end. So let me just ask one question that we'll kind of just come back down the row with, and we'll leave it with that. If, as we talk today and we think about the impact of home on all these aspects, physical, mental, maternal health, community, what is one thing that you would like to leave with people? One thing that you would like people to do after hearing this, or to take action on today after understanding a little bit of how home impacts all aspects of our life?
I would like you all to take away the importance that you are not on your own island, that you need the people around you. You are not alone. And find a community that works for you. If you're not a Christian, if your church is not your thing, that is totally fine. Go to a coffee shop. There's always events happening at a coffee shop. Go to a library, go to a bar, go to yoga. Have people around you that will support you. We can't do this life alone. And so just remember that you are loved and you are enough and you can do hard things.
Thanks, Nina.
All right, my challenge to all of you is to go home and to just be in your space, take a deep breath, and just allow yourself to be there. And we live in a world where we are constantly going. So just go home and appreciate your space.
Thanks, Nina. I love that.
My call to action would be listen to women. Listen to the women who are speaking softly. Listen to the women who are shouting. Listen to them and believe what they're saying. Because in my line of work, when women aren't heard and they aren't listened to, their lives could be lost or their babies are lost. And so, but when they do listen, when their network listens to them, when their doctors listen to them, wonderful things happen and families are extended and lives are saved. So listen up.
Thanks, Jodi.
And I would say, if you have a good home, or even a home that is structurally sound, to be grateful, to be thankful for that, because it is providing you with health and well-being. And certainly if you have the resources to help someone else have that isn't able to, then I'd encourage you to do that.
Thank you. Yes. I think that wraps up our time. Really thank you to all the panelists today. I think in a very short amount of time, they've been able to impart some really important information about the impact of home, hopefully get you to stop and think a little bit about what home means to you and appreciate where whatever home is for you, what that looks like and what that means. We certainly can make a big impact on our community, so we're very happy to be here and have this event today to try and move towards having more people have that experience and have that affordability to have the home and the community that can support their physical health, maternal health, mental health, and spiritual health. So it's a full package. Yeah. So thank you very much. I think we are wrapping up, and what is next? Thank you.
Something that has been really cool to see at the Women Build so far is that every single day of the build, at least 2 or 3 women have come up to me and said, "Oh my goodness, I don't think I could ever do what you do, being in this male-dominated role and being a leader in it, and then going out and teaching other people how to do it is just so inspiring." And I really like to tell them it's not that hard once you get started. It is very hard to start, and you have to do that one hard thing. Once you're there, it gets easier and easier, and to share that with other people and make sure that they know you can do this. Even though you think it's hard right now, it will get easier. You're going to learn these skills, and you're going to be able to take them home and use them for the rest of your life and show them to other people. And I want to teach that to other people, and when they see that, it's just super cool, and it really brings us all together. It shows that I'm doing something very hard, but everybody else can do it. You just have to get started and start doing it.
One of the things I would love to see with the Women's Build is for women to take what they've learned and even just that experience and share it with people outside of Habitat, really in their communities,
in their churches, with their family, with their spouses, whoever it is. I think it would be a magnification of what we see happen in terms of the confidence for women in a larger sense, and really keeping in mind the people in my life who have made a difference. And I love for women to share this with their children and say, you know, I'm your mother, but I'm strong. I do these really incredible things. We give back to a community that's larger than our family.
Hi everyone, my name is Bless Kra, and I am the 2023 Women Build home buyer. My family and I, we are from West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, aka Ivory Coast. My family and I was brought to the United States due to war between the government and the rebel. My family and I arrived to the United States April 24th, 2004. I applied at Appetite 2014, but unfortunately, I was denied because at that time, I didn't have enough credit. 2018, I reapplied at Appetite Home again. But then again, I was also denied. At that time, I was only on my job for less than years, and Appetite wanted people that been on a job for longest, from 3 years up. I communicated with them, and they have Appetite classes. And I went ahead. I attended the financial classes to help me build my credits, to help me stay stable on my job. 2019, by the grace of God, I was able to have my daughter finally after 2 boys. Also, that same year, I was able to apply at Appetite again for the 3rd time. 2022, when I got my letter, I cried and I thank God, thank you at the same time, because He make it possible. Even though it took me 8 years before Appetite approved me. Patient dog eat the fattest bone. Looking at that land every Sunday when my family and I passes by, it's like a new beginning. I'm looking forward to my new home, most especially the environment where my kids will be safe. And I'm also looking forward to my neighbor loving me like a family, and I will love them back, because after all, family are not always blood. Anyone can be your family. So living in a home that is built by women, it motivates me. I feel proud and honored to be among the women. We can help one another to put our crown on and encourage each and every one and say, we can do better. Women, to be honest with you, only you can stop yourself from following your dream. If I can do it, if Women Build can do it, you can do 10 times better. Women Build also give we the single women idea to go about. Instead of waiting around for men to do things for us, we can do better. Women Build, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Global, una anseo, anzio, amboyo. They are Noah. They are clever Noah. Unyeyo, anzio, faambo.
Wow, hard to follow that, but I will wrap up. I've just got 2 more hours of comments and then just caught you sleeping, didn't I? Okay, so amazing. And just please join me in sending Blessed all of our encouragement and love as she finishes her journey to her home, to build her home this year. Congratulations, Blessed. So happy for you. And you know, Women Helping Women sends such a positive and powerful message. When we come together, we build things, we learn things, we empower others, we improve our community, and best of all, we get to be part of Blessed homeownership journey this year. What an amazing honor that is. And as you all know, part of why we're here is we are working to raise funds. $125,000 was our goal for the 2023 Women's Build. And I'm very happy to report that we're 96% of that goal right now at $120,300. So that's outstanding. However, we're just a titch short, $4,700. And they had to tell me that number. Not great on math, but $4,700 short. So if at all willing to, there's a QR code on your placemats. If you take a moment, snap that and give anything you'd be willing to give, it means the world to this build, but then also just to all the families that supports in every kind of way you can imagine. So anything you can do there would be so appreciated for us to wrap up this work for this year's 2023 Women's Build. You know, we're really looking forward to the culmination of Blessed and her completion of her home. And the good news is she's one of 30 families this year that are going to get homes through Habitat for Humanity and moving into homes with their family this year. And as Abby said so aptly, if you haven't been to a home dedication where people receive the keys to their home after working so incredibly hard, getting their affordable mortgage, doing all the hard work to do that, if you haven't done it, do it. If you think it's, getting up early on a Saturday, I've done it many times myself, and I get up and I think this is the best part of my Saturday. I get to go be a part of somebody's life in a life-changing event. So please, if you can do that, please do. You're always welcome. And I guess the other thing I would offer is, as you return home, thank you, panelists. You gave me a lot of food for thought. I'm going to be thinking about that a lot as I go home tonight. And I will tell you, what you need to do is think about your home when you get home tonight. Pause on the things that our panelists said to you. Think about how lucky we are and what we all can do in our community, all of you and all of your extended family and friends, the people you influence every day through your actions and through your words. Make sure and share with them what you learned here today and have them stop and ponder those thoughts about what home really is. I do think we sometimes forget what we have and to be thankful and grateful, as our panelists said. So chew on those things, take those nuggets home with you and share them if you would, because I think they're great messages for all of us, because it's so much more than just four walls. And with that, we are wrapping up to get you out of here on time, hopefully. So I want to take a moment and just remind you that at your tables, these beautiful centerpieces, please take one. Take it as a parting gift to brighten your day. Take that. And if you haven't grabbed a tumbler, please do that as well. And with that, that wraps up our 2023 Women's Build Luncheon. Thank you all again so much.